A poor, illiterate girl claimed the Virgin Mary appeared to her, and what she said next shocked the entire Catholic Church. April 16th belongs to St Bernadette Soubirous, the miller's daughter, whose hidden life changed Catholic history. She was born on January 7, 1844, at the Boli Mill in Lourdes, in the Hautes-Pyrénées of southwestern France. Her parents were François Soubirous and Louise Castero, a married couple remembered as affectionate, hard-working, and deeply religious. Bernadette was their first child, and she grew up in a family marked first by warmth, then by collapse. She was small, physically fragile, and often sick, yet she was also direct, lively, stubborn, and incapable of faking emotion. When she was still a child, her family's fortunes broke down after her father's mill business failed. The family slipped into severe poverty and eventually lived in the former jail cell called the Cachot. By her early teens, she had little schooling, had missed catechism, and still could not properly read or write. She also suffered from asthma and had earlier survived the cholera epidemic that struck Lourdes and the surrounding area. The poverty in Bernadette's story was real, but it was never the whole story. Before the apparitions, she spent time in Bartray as a shepherd girl and also helped at her aunt's tavern in Lourdes. Her family relationships remained important throughout her life, especially with her parents and her sister Toinette. Nothing about her background suggested future celebrity, intellectual prestige, or social influence. She was poor, undereducated, and unknown, which is precisely why the coming events hit France so hard. On February 11, 1858, Bernadette went out with her sister and a friend to gather wood near Massabielle. Massabielle was a rocky grotto by the Gave River, just outside Lourdes, and it was there everything changed. Bernadette heard a sound like a gust of wind, though the surrounding trees did not move. Looking toward the grotto, she saw a young lady dressed in white, with a blue sash and yellow roses. That first vision did not instantly convince everyone, and Bernadette herself first tested what she was seeing. She rubbed her eyes, looked again, checked with her companions, and then turned instinctively to prayer. She took up her rosary, made the sign of the cross, and prayed while the lady joined silently. The first two apparitions contained no spoken message, which only deepened the mystery. On February 18th, during the third apparition, the lady spoke for the first time. Bernadette had brought pen and paper, asking the lady to write down her name. The answer was calm and striking. Writing was not necessary. Then came the promise that would define Bernadette's life. She would not be made happy in this world, but in the next. The lady also asked her to return for 15 days, treating the poor peasant girl with formal courtesy. Now the pattern sharpened, and the message moved from wonder into penance. On February 24th, the lady told Bernadette to pray for sinners and to do penance. The next day came one of the strangest and most controversial scenes in the whole story. On February 25th, before a crowd of about 300 people, Bernadette obeyed instructions nobody else understood. She moved toward the back of the grotto, scraped the ground, and found only muddy water at first. She tried repeatedly until water became drinkable, then washed and drank from the spring. She also ate bitter herbs and smeared mud on her face, horrifying the onlookers. Many in the crowd thought she had gone mad. Bernadette answered simply that it was being done for sinners. That spring became the most famous physical sign associated with Lourdes. The crowds kept growing, and the church could not ignore the matter any longer. On March 2nd, at the 13th apparition, the lady asked for processions and a chapel to be built there. Bernadette carried that request to Father Dominique Péramel, the parish priest of Lourdes. Péramel wanted one thing above all else: the lady's name. Bernadette could not produce evidence on demand because she insisted she controlled nothing. This is one reason her testimony impressed even some skeptics. She never exaggerated, embellished, or tried to turn herself into a wonder worker. She repeatedly said she was only charged to tell what she had seen, not to make others believe it. Then came the sentence that made Lourdes explode into global Catholic memory. On March 25, 1858, the lady finally answered Bernadette's repeated question about her identity. She said, "I am the Immaculate Conception." For Bernadette, who was poorly educated and had struggled even with catechism, the phrase was unexpected and difficult. She reportedly repeated the words all the way back to town so she would not forget them. The statement stunned clergy because Pope Pius XIX had proclaimed the dogma of the Immaculate Conception only in 1854. The final apparition took place on July 16, 1858, from across the river because the grotto was fenced off. Bernadette later said the lady seemed more beautiful than ever during that last meeting. By then, the story had become a national controversy, drawing curiosity, devotion, ridicule, and press attention. Fame was the one thing Bernadette never tried to keep. She refused gifts, refused to bless rosaries, and refused to sell medals or trade on her name. When cheap devotional images of her were shown around, she joked that 10 sous were all she was worth. Civil authorities questioned her, churchmen questioned her, journalists questioned her, and crowds stared at her. She answered with unusual firmness for someone who still lacked formal education. Her famous line captured the whole attitude. She was charged to tell it, not to make anyone believe it. Life in the cachot became impossible under the pressure. In July 1860, she was admitted as an indigent sick girl to the hospice run by the Sisters of Nevers. There, she finally learned to read and write at the age of 16. Once literacy came, Bernadette did not become ambitious. She became more hidden. She visited her parents, cared for some sick people, and gradually discerned religious life. Because she had no dowry and considered herself good for very little, the question was not simple. Eventually, she chose the Sisters of Charity of Nevers, saying she entered because she had not been drawn there by flattery. On July 4, 1866, she left Lourdes for the last time. The next day, wearing her Pyrenean dress, she recounted the apparitions one final time before the sisters in Nevers. In religious life, she became Sister Marie Bernard. She had wanted active service among the poor and sick, but her health often prevented that dream. Still, she served successively as assistant nurse, infirmary nurse, and sacristan. This hidden chapter is exactly where her sanctity became hardest and most believable. After arriving in Nevers, she was expected not to keep retelling the apparitions. She accepted that discipline and learned to live the message instead of narrating it. At her profession, no obvious assignment had been prepared for her, so she was effectively given the task of prayer. That fit the Lord's message, especially the call to pray for sinners. Bernadette wrote that her weapons were prayer and sacrifice. What she could not do through public action, she tried to do through endurance. Her illnesses multiplied and the infirmary became her main apostolate. She suffered greatly from a painful knee tumor and from tuberculosis of the lungs. She once compared herself to a broom used by Our Lady and then put back behind the door. Her death came young, but not suddenly. From about 1875 onward, she was increasingly ill, and by 1878 she was almost constantly bedridden. She died in Nevers on April 16, 1879, at the age of 35. She was buried first in St. Joseph's Chapel in the convent grounds. Long after her death, investigators opened her tomb during the processes for beatification and canonization. Official inspections took place in 1909, 1919, and 1925. The sanctuary in Nevers states that each time her body was found intact. Since August 3, 1925, after her beatification, her body has rested in a glass shrine in the chapel at St Gildard. Pilgrims still visit Nevers to pray before her remains. The church moved cautiously, and that caution is part of why Lourdes still matters. In July 1858, Bishop Lawrence opened a commission of inquiry into the apparitions. That investigation lasted nearly 4 years and involved testimony, witness examination, and consultation with experts. On January 18, 1862, Bishop Bertrand Sévère Laurence officially recognized the apparitions as authentic. The decree judged that the Immaculate Mary had truly appeared to Bernadette at Massabielle. That recognition did not canonize Bernadette, but it established Lourdes as a legitimate site of Catholic devotion. The shrine expanded, chapels were built, and Lourdes became one of the great pilgrimage centers of the modern church. According to the sanctuary, more than 7,000 healings have been reported there since 1858. As of 2025, 72 cures have been officially recognized as miraculous by the Church. Bernadette herself was beatified on June 14, 1925. She was canonized on December 8, 1933, by Pope Pius XI. Today, her principal feast in the general Roman calendar is April 16th, the day of her death. In some places, especially in older usage connected with Lourdes, February 18th also remained associated with her memory. She is commonly invoked as patroness of the sick, the poor, shepherds, and those mocked for their faith. That final patronage makes sense because ridicule followed her almost from the first apparition. She remains one of the most famous Marian visionaries in Catholic history, yet her own life was strikingly anti-spectacular. The real drama of Bernadette is not celebrity, but obedience. She saw something extraordinary, told the truth as she understood it, refused to profit from it, and disappeared into prayer. That is why St Bernadette still matters on April 16th. Her story joins concrete dates and places to a deeply Catholic pattern of humility under pressure. Lourdes, Massabielle, the Gave River, the Cachot, Bartray, and Nevers are not decorative details in her life. They are the physical stage on which poverty, suffering, testimony, and sanctity were tested. She was not important because she looked impressive, spoke like a scholar, or wielded institutional power. She was important because she stayed stubbornly faithful to what she had seen and to the duty that followed. The miracles of Lourdes made the shrine famous, but Bernadette's interior discipline made the witness durable. She was not sent to force belief, only to speak truthfully. That makes her one of the clearest examples of how Catholic sanctity can be small, poor, sick, and still world-changing.